Okay, so I am going to go through these station problems so that if you don't understand them, you can figure it out. So this is the station 1 question. Set the values on the cards below in ascending order. Ascending means least to greatest. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in my calculator. So I'm going to go to my calculator and I'm going to do negative 99%. Now when I have a percent, the way that I change that, look, I have a percent key on my calculator, but I could also divide by 100. So I'm going to clear that. I'm going to do negative 99 divided by 100. Whenever you see percent, if you do divided by 100, that'll change it to a decimal. So I got negative 0.99. So I'm going to put a text box right here. Negative 0.99 is the decimal value for that. So put that right there by that card. Then I have 1/9. 1 divided by 9 is 0.1 repeated. So text box 0.111 dot dot dot. Okay, square root of 9. I would hope that you would have this memorized by now, but it's 3. 19%. Again, we're going to do 19 divided by 100. That gives us 0.19. So text box, I'll put it right here, 0.19. Okay. Then I have negative square root 80. Here we go. Negative square root 80. 80. There we go. Negative 8.9. I'm going to call that. Right there. Negative 8.9. There's my decimal value for that one. And negative 9.9 repeated is already a decimal. Now all I have to do is put these in order from least to greatest. So I got a 0.1. That's, oh, but negatives. Negatives are going to be less. So negative 0.99. I got negative 0.89 and negative 9.9 repeated. Guess what? That's the one. So I am going to put right here a text box. Negative, I just did 9. Negative 9.9. And then I'm going to get a line over here in shapes. Line. And put a line over that 9 so that we know that it's repeated. Negative 9.9 repeated. Then on the next line, I'm going to go back to text box. And my next negative is going to be negative 8.9, which was negative square root 90. So I'm going to do negative. And then to do a square root, and I had somebody asking me about this. As soon as you open a text box, you get a ribbon at the top of the page here. And I'm running my cursor along, and it starts with Times New Roman, then it tells you how big your font is, and it goes through all this. If you go down to where it says FX, it's after the link before the emojis. So click FX. That is formula, is what that stands for. Then it opens this smaller ribbon that starts on the left with math and underline A and this, another thing with A. If you go to this pi symbol and click on it, you get this whole board full of symbols that you can use. I want the square root, and that is, okay, I got pi in the upper right hand corner. I go over, I go down to, that's the square root. Looks like square root x. So I put it right there, and then I type in 80. So negative square root 80 is what goes next. Then my next negative would be negative 99%, which is negative 0.99. So text box again, and I want negative 99, and I have percent on my keyboard. That would be shift 5. So negative 99% right there. So that takes care of my negatives. Now I have my positives. I've got 0.1 repeated. I've got 0.19. And I've got the square root of 9, which is 3. So I'm going to do 0.1 repeated first, which was 1/9. Again, I'm going to use my formula over here, go to f of x, click it, then go here to the pi symbol, click that, and now I want a fraction. The fraction is on the far right, down 4, next to the is approximately equal to. So that would be 1. Then if I push the down arrow, I can put the 9 there. 1/9 is what goes there. So I have that. Next I have this 0.19. That would be 19%. So a text box again. 19, shift 5%. And my biggest number on this was the square root of 9, which is 3. So here's where I do need my formulas again. That's what it's called, this fx. And click pi. And if you use them more than once or twice, they come up here in this green. So I'm going to click this square root of x, and I want 9. And there we go. There's your list in order from least to greatest. Okay, for this next one, it wants the cards below in descending order. Descending means from greatest to least. So that's the opposite of the first set we did. So again, I'm going to use my calculator to change all these to decimals. 2/3, I already know. If you put this in the calculator, you'll find it's the same thing. Is going to be 0.6 repeated. So there's that. 20, and that's a negative. So negative 20/3. I'm going to go with negative 20 divided by 3 is negative 6.6 repeated. So text box, negative 6.6 repeated. A lot of sixes. Luckily I'm not superstitious. Okay, square root of 23. Square root 23. 4.79, so I'm going to call that 4.8. 4.8. 23%. Again, I'm going to do 23 divided by 100. Not 3. 23 divided by 100 is 0.23. There are other ways to think about changing that percent to a decimal, but that's the easiest one. Negative square root 34. Negative square root 34 is negative 5.8. Or close to it. Negative 5.8. And negative 4.3 repeated is negative 4.3 repeated, so I don't need to do that one. So I'm going with descending order, so greatest to least. I'm going to start with the greatest. 0.6, that's pretty close to 0. 4.8, that's pretty big. These are negative. This one is pretty close to 0 as well, and that's negative. So I'm going with the square root of 23. Text box. Fx pi square root 23. That's the greatest number. Then I go to the next one. So that one's done. Then I need, that's negative. This is positive, 0.6 repeated. And this is 0.2. So I'm going with 0.6 repeated here. That's 2/3. So I'm going to go fx. I'm going to do a fraction. A over b. 2 down 3. 2/3. Then next would be this positive 23%. So text box 23%. Good. Next. Now I got my negatives. The most negative looks like is this negative 20 over 3. So I'm going to put that one in first because I find that easier. So negative, and I'm just going to do it with my keyboard here with that slash. Negative 20 over 3. Then the next most negative would be negative 5.8. So that's negative square root 34. Negative fx pi square root 34. Oops, move that whole thing over onto that line. There we go. And the last one would be negative 4.3 repeated. Negative 4.3, shapes, line, put a line over that 3, 4.3 repeated. Or you could type 4.333 dot dot dot. There you go. That's descending order. Square root of 23, 2/3, 23%, negative 4.3 repeated, negative square root 34, negative 20/3. So that's how you do station 1. Here's station 2. Okay, so looking at station 2, I have this diagram showing the real number system. Let's put a text box in here and let's figure out what each of these sets would be. So I'm going to type the names of them. A would be, and you should have something like this in your notes. If you had pulled that up, you would see that A is the natural numbers, and those are the counting numbers. B is whole numbers. Those are the counting numbers and 0. C is integers, positive and negative whole numbers. D would be the rational numbers. And E would be irrational numbers. So that's going to help us a little bit while we're doing this, these questions. So 2 times the square root of 32. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take especially any square roots, and I'm going to put them in the calculator. 2 times the square root of 32. Not 3, of 32. There we go. 11, 3, 1, 3, 7, 0, 8, 5. I want to see if I type it in just without the times. 2 square root 32, enter, it gives me the same thing. So you don't even have to put the times there. You can put it just how they wrote it. 11.3137085. That is not a pretty little integer. That is a big ugly decimal. That is an irrational number. That belongs in set E. So, number 1 should be E. Number 2. Number 2 is 44 elevenths. 44 elevenths. I know it's rational, but is it also whole or, all those other things? Well, I know that 44 divided by 11 equals 4. 4 is a counting number. The smallest set that it could go in would be A, the natural numbers, because it's a counting number. And if you didn't know your 11 times table, you could have put 44 divided by 11 in the calculator. It would have given you that 4. Negative 7.6 repeated. Repeating decimals, if you recall from our lesson earlier last week, repeating decimals are rational, and that would be D. So 3 would be our rational numbers, D. Number 4. Number 4 is 0. 0 is not a counting number, but it is a whole number. In fact, it's the only number that you would ever answer B for. Not that it's the only whole number, but all of the rest of the whole numbers are natural numbers, and you would want to put it in A for natural numbers instead. Number 5, 9 pi. We know that anything with pi is irrational, and that was E. Number 6, negative square root 144. Well, I know what that is without putting it in the calculator because I know my multiplication facts. But if you do put it in the calculator, you're going to see that that is negative 12. Natural numbers, whole numbers cannot be negative, but integers are positive and negative whole numbers. So integers, which was C, would be the correct answer for that one. Then number 7, negative 100 divided by 5. I know that 100 divided by 5 is 20, and negative 20 is an integer, just like negative 12 is. So that would be C. Number 8, square root of 36. I know that the square root of 36 is 6. which is a counting number. That's a natural number. That would be set A. And finally, 8 1/3. 8 1/3 cannot be simplified more than that. It is not a natural number. We don't say it when we count. It's not a whole number. It's not zero or a counting number, but it is rational because it's a fraction. So that would be D. It's not an integer, which are positive and negative whole numbers. So there you go. D, that would be rational. And there you go. There's station 2. That's how you do that. You might want to pull out your notes from when we did that in those first couple of lessons. Okay, next station. Estimate each of the following square roots by creating and labeling a point on the number line on your recording sheet. I'm going to add dots, red dots. You could do it with a pencil or red dots. Square root 17. So all I have to do here is put these in the calculator. 4.1. 4.1 is right about here. And I'm going to label that. They gave me letters, so I don't have to type those rotten square root signs. So I'm going to call that A. Right there. Then I got square root of 72. Square root 72. That would be about 8.5 because that 8 is big enough to bump that 4 up to give it a shove up to 5. So 8.5 would be, I'm going to do drawing, 8.5 about there. And that would be B. Then I'm going to do C, square root of 2, which I happen to know is 1.4. We've done that one a few times. If you didn't know that, you could check it in the calculator. But 1.4 is about right here, just left of 1.5. And that, oops, I like to do that, don't I? That would be C. Then D, square root of 82. I mean, this is super easy to do in the calculator. I know it's just going to be just bigger than 9. About 9.1. So 9.1, I need drawing. 9.1 right there. That would be D, the square root of 82, text box. D, square root of 82. Then E, square root 5. I know it's going to be about 2 point something. Square root 5. Enter. 2.2. 2.2. Drawing. 2.2. That's going to be very close to 2. And that is going to be E. Hopefully you're understanding how to do this by now. Wait, I'm making that go away. E. Okay, F, square root 13. Well, that's going to be bigger than 3, less than 4, because I know 3 squared is 9 and 4 squared is 16. 3.6. 3.6, just bigger than 3.5. And that is F. So text box, F. Then I need G, square root 62. That's going to be just smaller than 8, because I know that 8 squared is 64. And there you go. 7.9. What did I tell you? 7.9 right here. That would be G. Then square root 38, that's just going to be just bigger than 6, because the square root of 36 is 6. So look, I don't even need to put it in the calculator if I know my multiplication facts. Here's my text box. That's H. And one more, the square root of 31. I know that's bigger than 5. I know that's less than 6. It's probably about in the middle, but let's see. Square root 31. Yep, 5.6, so almost in the middle, just right of the middle. Drawing. There we go. And that would be I. And there you go. That's how to do station 3. Your answer should be C, E, F, A, I, H, G, B, D, and that's where those points should be. Let's look at station 4. Fill in the blank of the table shown by converting the given form of a number into the missing form. So if it's a fraction, we're going to make it a decimal. If it's a decimal, we're going to make it a fraction. Again, the calculator makes this super easy to do. 1/9, I'm going to do 1 divided by 9. That gives me 0.1 repeated. So I'm going to go back here on my answer line. I'm going to do a text box. I'm going to do 0.1. And then rather than typing all those ones and stuff, I'm going to put a line over it to make it repeated. Here we go. 0.1 repeated. Okay. B. 0.17 repeated. So that's going to be 0.17171717. I'm going to put that in. 0.17171717. There went my little fraction symbol, but now I'm going to wait till it comes back. I'm going to keep putting in 1s and 7s till it comes back. There we go. I'm going to enter and click that. 17/99. So that's what I'm going to put in here for B. And I'm going to use just the slash on the keyboard instead of putting in the fraction. Same thing. Okay, C, 23/99. Now I want you to see if there's a pattern here. Watch this. 23 divided by 99. Look, that's 0.23 repeated. 0.17 repeated was 17/99. And watch this. Watch if I do, so if this was 0.11 repeated, which it is, if I do clear. If I do 11 divided by 99, guess what I get? 0.1 repeated. Is there a pattern there? Anyway, this one is going to be 0.23 with the 2 and the 3 both repeated. So I'm going to get my line here and put it over the 2 and the 3. D, 0.6 repeated. I wonder what that's going to be. Watch this. 0.6666. Oh, wait, you got to go back to the another line. 0.666666666666666666. Aha, guess what it's going to be? 66/99 or 6/9 or 2/3. You can simplify it. If I had done 66 divided by 99, guess what I get? 2/3. And if I do 6 divided by 9, guess what I get? 2/3. They're all the same thing, and there's a pattern here. D would be, text box. 2/3. I'm going to do 2/3 for my fraction there. E, 17/9. This is going to be interesting. 17 divided by 9. Let's see what this does with the pattern. Oh, 1.8 repeated. That's a little bit different. They put a decimal between the 1 and the 7, and for some reason it became an 8. I don't know. Interesting. Maybe we'll see another one like that and we'll figure out the pattern. 1.8 repeated. 1.8, and I'm going to put a line over it. Repeated. F, 0.36 repeated. I think I know where this is going. Oh, guys, you got to remind me. 0.36363. Nope. 0.363636363. There it went away. And now it's going to come back. Oh, I missed a 3. If I use the keyboard instead of clicking with my mouse on the screen, it would be better. Okay. 4/11. But watch this. Watch what happens if I do 36/99 and change that to a fraction. It simplifies to 4/11. So, text box here, 4/11. And G, 16 over 11. Ooh, this is going to be different. 16 divided by 11 is 1.45 with the 4-5 repeated. Wow. 1.45 with the 4-5 repeated. So line over the 4-5. And last one, 0.03 repeated. 0.0303030303. I'm going to my keyboard because it will be faster. There we go. I got my little button. 1 over 33, which is 3 over 99. Guarantee it. So, text box 1 over 33. There we go. There's our answers for station number 4. 0.1 repeated, 17 over 99. 0.23 repeated, 2/3. 1.8 repeated, 4/11. 1.45 repeated, 1 over 33. And here we go to station 5. If box A represents natural numbers and box C represents rational numbers, what could be in between for box B? Okay, A is natural, C is rational. Let's go back to that other station where we were doing that. I got natural and I got rational. What's in between there? Whole numbers and integers. So here I come back down to this. Whole numbers, which is 4, and integers, which is 2. And those are Roman numerals, so I'm going to do 2, which is 2 capital I's, and a 4, which is a capital I, capital V. 2 and 4. Whole numbers and integers are in between natural and rational. Now this one, if box C represents real numbers and box A represents rational numbers, what does box B have to be? The set that doesn't cross over with the rational numbers at all. It's this separate one over here. What is it? Irrational. But the question says, which could not be represented by box B? So the only one that could not be represented by box B would be 3. So it could be, A could be whole numbers, or I mean B has to be irrational. So it couldn't be whole numbers, couldn't be integers, couldn't be natural numbers. 1, 2, and 4. So I, and IV. 1, 2, and 4. There you go. 2 and 4 for 1, or II and IV, and 1, 2, and 4, I, and IV for number 2. That's all there is to that. You have to understand those definitions in that set diagram. Okay, this one has special instructions on your website. You're supposed to choose a number from this first wheel. So I'm going to do 5.01. And then choose a number from the second wheel. I'm going to do, I don't know, 11 over 2. 11 over 2. Oh, but that needs to be right here. And then I'm going to compare them. So I'm going to go to my calculator. 11 divided by 2 equals 5.5. So 5.01 compared to 5.5, what goes in the middle there? Greater than, less than, or equal to? 5.01 is less than 5.5, so all good. And then we just do that with the rest. Choose something else from first value here, 5.1. Choose a different one. How about 2 square root 7? 2 fx symbol square root 7. Put that right there. Then I need to know what is 2 times the square root of 7. So 2 square root 7, enter. It's 5.29, or about 5.3, which is bigger than 5.1. So I'm going to put a less than sign in there. I hope that you guys are understanding what I'm doing here. I'm going to choose another one from the left. And, you know, there are lots of different options here. So I'm obviously not going to do all of them. I'm going to choose 5 for my off the first wheel. And off the second wheel, I'm going to do 16 over 3. You have to remember that you can't choose 2 numbers from the same wheel. Those are too easy to compare. So 5 compared to 16 over 3. I'm going to do 16 divided by 3. That's going to be 5.3 repeated. 5 is less than 5.3 repeated. So that's what goes there. And I'm going to do one more. Let's go 5.3 repeated. Ooh. 5.333. That's faster than pulling up the line. And let's go 100 over 19. 100 divided by 19. So I'm going to put that in my calculator. 100 divided by 19, which equals 5.26. So about 5.3, but it's 5.26, which is less than 33. So 5.3 repeated is greater than 100 over 19. And you have a whole lot more options here, but you can figure it out. If you have questions, you can email me or come ask me in class. Okay, station number 7. Okay, so approximate the side length of each square below. Estimate the side lengths to the nearest tenth. If you will recall, one of the lessons we talked about how to find the side length of a square if we know the area. And basically we just take the square root of the area, and it says to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to take the square root of the area, which is 52. So square root 52, enter. 7.21, that 1 is not big enough to give 2 a shove, so it leaves it alone. So my answer for A is 7.1. Was it a 1? No, it was 2. Good thing you were here to fix that for me. 7.2. Okay. B, 200. So I'm going to do the square root of 200, which is about 14.1. So I put that down here. The trick to these is rounding, and if you don't understand rounding, I would look up some videos on that. In fact, I might put some in our review, in our additional resources. Okay, C, 90. So I want to do the square root of 90, which is 9.48. 8 is 5 and above, so it gives 4 a shove up to 5. So the answer is going to be 9.5. D, the area is 14, so I take the square root of 14. That gives me 3.74. 4 is not big enough to give 7 a shove, so it's just 3.7. E, 65. That's going to be 8.1, I betcha. Square root 65. How did I know? Because I know the square root of 64 is 8. And look at that, 8.06. 6 is big enough to give that 0 a shove up to 1. So 8.1. What did I tell you? If you know your multiplication facts and your perfect squares, these things become easier because you can do some of them in your head. So here we go. 7.2, 14.1, 9.5, 3.7, and 8.1. Those are your answers for that one. On the worksheet it says units, but because units is the thing that they're doing, square units, but numbers are just fine for me. Okay, and finally, station 8. Each of the lists below is in order from least to greatest and has one number missing. List an example of a value that could correctly complete the blank in each list. Okay, it's in order from least to greatest. So do I need to change these all to decimals or just the 2 on either side? That's what I would do, is the 2 on either side. I'm going to do negative 33 divided by 5. Negative 33 divided by 5 is negative 6.6. So I'm going to type that right here just so I don't forget. And I got negative 6.4 repeated. So what's a number that's in between negative 6.6 and negative 6.4 repeated? I think the easiest one would be negative 6.5. Hello. Okay, what about this one? I just need a number that's less than 8.75. Any number that's less than 8.75. So any negative number, 0, or any positive number up to 8.75. So I could do 8.74 if I want, but I'm just going to put 8.6, which was what they had in the example. But any number that's less than 8.75 would have worked. Finally, we have negative 2 and 9/10 or negative 2 and 3/5. So, negative 2 plus 9 divided by 10. Oops, I need a 1 in there. Or, and the other one was negative 2 and 3/5. Negative 2 plus 3 divided by 5 gives me negative 1.4. So I got negative 1.1. I'm going to put that right here to remind me. Negative 1.1 and, or not negative 1, negative 2. And this is negative 2. Wait, is it really? Oh, because this should be plus a negative. I'm going to go back and fix this. They both have to be negative. Wow. Negative 2.9, negative 2.6. Yeah, that wasn't making a whole lot of sense to me. Negative 2.9, not plus 9. Negative 2.9 and negative 2.6. An easier way to do that so that you don't have that confusion would just be to assume the 2 and just do the 9 divided by 10, which gives you, 9 divided by 10, which gives, not 1, 10.
I'm understanding.
So I had to pause for a second while somebody came in, but I think this is where I was at. If you just do the 9 over 10 part instead of the 2, just assume you've got negative, and do the 9 over 10 part, that would be 0.9, so you know you're going to have negative 2.9. And if I did, the other one was 3/5. 3/5 is 6/10 or 0.6, so then I know I have negative 2.6. So anyway, negative 2.9, negative 2.6, I got negative 2.7, negative 2.8, or any other number that is between there, but those would be the easiest ones, negative 2.7. Excuse me, I'm putting. So, hopefully that helped you to understand these stations, this review activity. This is a really good review, really good questions on the number system for 8th grade. And I hope you were able to fast forward to the part that helped you. Thanks, guys. Have a good Thursday evening, and remember, your math teacher or teachers love you, but not in a creepy way.